The cultural development of Heian, Japan, reflected the influence of Chinese traditions and the elaboration of Japanese ways. Most literature imitated Chinese models and was written in Chinese. Educated men learned Chinese, read the classical works of China, and wrote in a foreign tongue. Officials conducted their business and kept their records in Chinese, and literary figures wrote in the style popular in China. Now, in Heian times, aristocratic women made the most notable contribution to literature in the Japanese language. Of the works that survive, none reflects Heian court life better than The Tale of Genji. Written by a woman, Lady Murasaki, this work relates the experiences of a fictitious prince named Genji. Living amid gardens and palaces, Genji and his friends devoted themselves to the cultivation of an ultra-refined lifestyle, and they became adept at mixing perfumes, composing verses, and wooing women. The Tale of Genji also offers a meditation on the passing of time and the sorrows that time brings to sensitive humans. As Genji and his friends age, they reflect on the past joys and relationships no longer recoverable. The author, Lady Murasaki, created one of the most remarkable literary works in the Japanese language. The Japanese countryside, however, is going to undergo fundamental changes that bring about the end of the Heian court and its refined society. The equal field system gradually falls into disuse, and aristocratic clans accumulated most of the island's land into vast estates. By the 11th century, two clans in particular, the Taira and the Minamoto, overshadowed the others. During the 12th century, these two would go engage in outright war, and in 1185 the Minamoto would emerge victorious. Now, they did not abolish imperial authority in Japan, but rather claimed to rule the land in the name of the emperor. They installed a clan leader as shogun, a military governor who ruled in the place of the emperor, and established their seat of government at the city of Kamakura. Historians refer to the Kamakura and Muromachi periods as Japan's medieval period, until the establishment of the Tokugawa dynasty of the 16th century, when a centralized government unified and ruled over all of Japan. Now, in these periods, Japan developed a decentralized political order in which provincial lords wielded effective power and authority in local regions, where they controlled the land and economic affairs. Now, as these lords and clans vied for power and authority in the countryside, they found little use for the Chinese-style bureaucracy. In place of etiquette and courtesy, they valued military talent and discipline. The samurai thus played the most distinctive role in Japanese political and military affairs. Japan has had a long history of trained warriors associated with aristocratic families, and this class of private fighters did not disappear after conscription was introduced. Military conscription is going to be abandoned just before the Heian period, and the central government no longer could amass large state armies. Military power and responsibility was in the hands of the provincial officials. The warrior class of Japan was in the provinces rather than the capital. The samurai were professional warriors. They served the lords of Japan, who relied on them to enforce their authority and extend their claims to other lands. In return, the lords would support the samurai from the agricultural surplus and labor services of peasants working under their jurisdiction. Samurai devoted themselves to hunting, riding, archery, and martial arts. And in some areas, local warrior organizations were going to be established, and they kept order in the provinces. The Japanese political order developed along the lines different from those in China. Japan clearly had a place in East Asian society that was centered on China. Japan borrowed from Chinese Confucian values, Buddhist religion, and a system of writing, and the ideal of the centralized imperial rule. Those elements of Chinese society survived in Japan, but influenced Japanese development during the later periods.